Hey there, my name is Dan Fruit, and this is Arms Around America, a podcast dedicated to transforming the gun debate into dialogue. We interview families around the country whose lives have been shaped in some way by guns. We adapt their stories into short audio dramas like the one you're about to hear. Then we invite folks with diverse views to explore questions the plays bring up. We know what guns are, but what do guns mean? Probably something different to each of us. Can we learn to talk across those differences? That's the question behind this podcast. The short audio drama featured in this episode is entitled Tiffany. It was recorded in front of a live audience in a studio inside UCLA's Royce Hall. Tiffany is based on the oral history of Captain Jessica Huerta. We met Jessica through our friends at UCLA's Veteran Resource Center. She enlisted in the Air Force after high school as a way out of San Diego's gang culture. It's been 20 years since Jessica's first tour in Iraq. Recently retired from the Air Force, she is the first in her family to attend graduate school. Currently, Jessica is a PhD candidate in sociology at UCLA. Arms Around America focuses not so much on guns, but on people whose lives are shaped by them. And to some degree, that includes all of us. Every generation of parents faces challenges their own parents never had to face, and decisions their parents never had to make. Let's give a listen to Tiffany.
Mama!
Don't talk with toothpaste in your mouth, Ruben.
Okay, can I see the video on your phone again?
I told you not to talk with toothpaste in your mouth.
Sorry.
And no, it's not a nice video.
But you look at it all the time.
It's for my dissertation and it's not for kids. Ruben, when's the last time your class did a lockdown drill? Ruben!
You told me not to talk with toothpaste in my mouth. I don't know, like a year ago?
Really? In second grade?
Yeah.
Rosa, bring me your shoes, please.
Okay, Mommy.
Do you remember what to do in a lockdown drill, Ruben?
Teacher closes the door, we run to the sink in the classroom and hide behind the wooden lockers.
Okay, good. Go ahead and get your backpack ready for school.
Okay.
Here, Mommy.
Thank you.
You look sad.
Wow, you're observant, Rosa. Give me your foot, please. You know what observant means?
It means you notice stuff.
Mm-hmm. Other foot, please. Yeah, sometimes, people do things that are not very thoughtful, and we just need to be safe. Do you understand?
No.
That's okay. Do you remember what to do in a fire drill, Rosa?
Yes?
Do you remember what to do in an earthquake drill?
Uh-huh.
In a second, Ruben. Go get your jacket, Rosa.
Okay.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Tiffany. Listen, are you sending your kiddos to school this morning?
Well, yeah, I was planning on it.
Are you kidding? Venus, put that down. When is the last time they even did a drill with the kiddos?
A year ago. Good girl, go get your backpack.
A year ago? How do you know?
I asked Ruben.
Huh. What did I say, Venus? I mean, what are they doing to protect our kids? Tiffany, why would you even consider sending Rosa and Ruben to school today?
Because I have to interview somebody for my dissertation.
Seriously? Can't you just do the interview while they're safe at home with you?
I'm on the phone, mijo. I just need to concentrate. I'm so close to finishing my dissertation, and this interview is crucial. Do you know that I've been in grad school for 11 years, Amanda? Just a minute, Ruben.
After 11 years, can't it wait one more day for your kids?
It's been 11 years of waiting one more day, Amanda. One of the commercials I'm studying shows a dad with his kid at a playground, and the dad is all suited up in special operations gear. The helmet, the goggle, the vest, and a long arm.
A what?
A rifle on a playground. Have I not showed you this video? It starts with a burst of heavy metal, and it shows a dad who looks like ZZ Top walking along with his 2-year-old.
Have you been deployed to the playground again? Leading a mission with nothing but weak gear. I'm Snatch Sanders and I feel your pain. A committed girl dad, I was neck deep in diaper bags and baby carriers that were all frills with no practical capability until I finally had enough.
Suddenly, the dad is in full-on battle fatigues.
That's why I founded Battle Baby Bags and Gear.
And he's brandishing an AR-15 while his kid is climbing up the play structure.
With Battle Baby, you're ready for the adventure, no matter the threat. You'll be able to keep your family safe, off base, on the swings, and in the sandbox, or my name isn't Snatch Sanders.
The kid comes down the slide and the dad is covering for him with his finger near the trigger.
Our gear is designed with ballistic fasteners, molly webbing, and carabiners, so you can load up with all the diapers and the wipers you need to do your duty.
The dad does an evacuation hand signal and retreats with his kid in one arm and his AR in the other.
Battle Baby, guaranteed to transform you from a girl dad to a man dad. And if you don't believe me, you don't know Snatch.
I don't know, Tiffany. I don't have a problem with a man who protects his family.
Can I see the video?
Ruben, backpack, please. Well, I have a problem when guns turn up where they don't belong, Amanda. I need to do something. And this is what I can do, and I don't want to wait a second longer.
Did you tell the kiddos about yesterday, about Uvalde?
I gotta go, Amanda.
Tiffany,
What?
it was unlocked.
What was unlocked?
The door. It was unlocked.
What are you talking about?
Uvalde. The police were inside the school for an hour looking for the key, but the classroom was unlocked the whole time. They were looking for the key to an unlocked door. The point is, it's not just the shooters I'm worried about. Maybe if those police officers had a little more toxic masculinity, they would have moved into action right into that classroom and saved some kiddos' lives. Think about it, Tiffany. You don't have to send them. Okay, I gotta go take care of my baby girl. Bye.
Bye.
Mom, what's this in my backpack?
Oh, it's just a little flat board. It's called armor.
It's in mine too. Why are you putting it in our backpack?
Well, it's very hard, so when we wear it, it's like wearing Wonder Woman's armbands. Everything just bounces off. Pew, pew, pew.
What bounces off?
I told you everything. Now just put on your backpack.
It's heavy.
That means we're gonna get strong by wearing it.
Ouchie, it digs into my back.
Let's try getting used to it for a while, okay? Hold still while I put on your sunscreen, please.
Mine says ballistic armor number 3.
It's so cool and not effective against high-powered weapons.
Let's just leave the boards in our backpacks. Ruben, sunscreen.
Mommy, is Venus's mom an alien?
What?
Well, there's a planet named Venus.
Oh.
And at pickup yesterday, you were talking to Venus's mom and she said,
What world are we living in? I can't believe this keeps happening.
Well, I can. I don't have a problem with guns in general. But so many Second Amendment zealots have no idea what the Second Amendment was really for. It was for militias who were well-trained and kept an eye on each other. Not for stupid kids who, as soon as they turn 18, go and buy an AR-15.
Yeah, stupid people shouldn't have guns.
But it's not just stupid people. That's the problem. Anybody can have a bad day. You can end up taking it out on your mother and your community, and that bad day becomes Uvalde.
you said it's not that people are stupid, it's that they have asses.
Access. They have access, not asses.
What's access?
In this case, it's when a child has something that's meant for adults.
Oh, like the video on your phone? I want asses.
Access.
Vamonos, everybody, let's go.
Mommy, why do we have to have armor in our backpacks?
When you're at school, if you hear a loud, scary sound, you put your backpack on in front of you, like this.
You look funny.
What kind of sound?
You know, like a loud bang or a boom or something like that. Okay, we're going.
Like a gun? I want to shoot a real gun.
Ew, girls don't shoot real guns, Rosa.
Really, Ruben? Who told you that?
Mommy, you shot guns before, right?
Yes, I have.
What, did you shoot at bad people?
I never shot at anyone, Ruben. I only shot guns in the Air Force because they would only let me go to Iraq if I learned to shoot well. I had to practice hard because I wasn't very good at first.
And then you got good?
Yep, I got real good. Okay, out the door.
Mommy, can I see the video just one time, please? I want to ask again.
Do not ask again. Okay, you too. Card now. Oh, God, I hope I'm doing the right thing. First one there gets to choose the music.
Me, I want to listen to Gracie's Corner. You'll never let me get her back.
You've been listening to a live recording of Tiffany, one of 6 short audio dramas that make up the Arms Around America podcast, created and performed by Dan Fruit and Company. It stars Sola Bamas as Tiffany, Natalie Comunis as Amanda, Christopher Rivas as Ruben, Krista Gonzalez as Rosa, and Anthony Ray Perez as Snatch Sanders. Immediately after the performance, actors Sola Bamas and Natalie Comunis were joined on stage for a conversation with Jessica Huerta, whose oral history formed the basis for the play. Also joining the discussion were Robert Hamm, an Army reservist and 3-time Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker, and Tess Benko, a Marine Corps veteran and Project and Community Development Director for the West Los Angeles Veterans Collective for homeless and at-risk veterans, families, and veteran caretakers.
Okay, mics are good.
Natalie
so we
starts our
would just
conversation.
Like to start by asking, what was your take on listening to this first scene?
It feels like a familiar conversation
Robert jumps in.
that I've had with my kids. I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. Now, this has been going on most of my life. 9/11, 2001, Columbine, 1999, and countless amounts of violence that's happened since then. And we've almost got accustomed to it, and we have to have these conversations with our children now, and it's like the most frightening thing to have to debate whether we should send our children to school or not. It's supposed to be the safest place.
It's a very visceral anxiety.
That's Tess Benko.
Being a parent myself, my daughter is 9 years old, so there's feelings of wanting to protect her and other children and other, citizens.
Tess begins that last sentence as a mom.
There's feelings of wanting to protect her and other children.
And ends it as a Marine.
And other, citizens.
Sola picks up on this.
As an extension of your role and involvement in the armed forces, what are the similarities and the differences between your responsibility to protecting the country and, as a family person, your responsibility in protecting your children?
On a macro level, all of the discussion about gun usage and gun rights distills down in some instances to the home. So 40% of homes have guns in them. And guns are, as you all probably know, the leading killer of children and teens. So there is that tendency to think about yourself, as a military veteran, as someone who defends and upholds the right and the good in society, and those weapons are for protection. But again, there's that educational piece where you have to know how to properly bring that home, right? So if you're going to have a weapon in your home and you feel like you need that self-protection, putting a gun lock on it or finding a way to mitigate what could potentially happen if it falls into your children's hands.
I own a gun for defense. I also trained on it, and sometimes I even have my own problems with it. I try to lock it up. I have my safe, all the things. In the Army, we train all day long in a lot of different ways to take it extremely seriously. Like if you point it, use it. When we're done with our gun, we would take it to an armorer, and he would put it in an armor with a big safe, and we would lock it. It was like a whole thing. And if you lost your weapon, you were like done.
For those of us who, like me, have not served in the armed forces, Robert and Tess are providing a helpful window into military culture around guns. They're telling us that as soldiers, they have to follow these strict protocols.
We train all day long to take it extremely seriously.
And they have external safeguards way beyond what most civilians have.
When we're done with our gun, we would take it to an armorer
to ensure that these weapons are used for their intended purposes only. And as we heard from our friend Breon Bain in episode 1, that purpose is
to kill the enemy. Be prepared to kill the enemy.
I can only imagine that it would be difficult to maintain a military level of discipline around firearms outside of a military setting. as Tess says.
You have to know how to properly bring that home.
And yet, the vast majority of gun owners, veterans and otherwise, seem to keep guns at home without incident most of the time. In fact, Tess goes on to talk about how, for a lot of families, discipline around proper gun storage and usage begins in the home.
As a military veteran, I was taught from a very young age by family members how to use firearms. And for me, that set of training was a precursor to what we're taught in the military about weapons control, weapons training, and things like that. And I think, coming from a community where there's a strong relationship with weapons ownership and weapons usage, you can see around you where people are defensive of that right. Like, this is my natural right as an American to keep and bear arms.
Tess turns back to the play and the topic of school shootings.
But when things like this happen, it directly challenges that notion, because at what cost?
There's a familiar tension between, on the one hand, the constitutional right to own and use guns for protection, recreation, hunting, and, on the other hand, the liability of those same guns as instruments of the kind of violence and mayhem that Tiffany hopes to protect her kids from.
If you hear a loud, scary sound, you put your backpack on in front of you, like this.
Tess asks, is the benefit of the former worth the expense of the latter? This is a question that divides us.
I did a deployment to Afghanistan in 2009. I joined because I wanted to go fight the dudes who did what happened on 9/11. It was rooted in, yes, patriotism and a lot of naivete and a lot of anger and bitterness. And I've spent a lot of time in therapy working through some of this stuff. And it seems like the time that we've been at war overseas is when we've also heightened the amount of violence in America.
Rob is drawing a line between U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan, Iraq, Bosnia, and violence here at home. And that line passes directly through the concept of,
whatever you want to call it, toxic masculinity. There's a lot of baggage that comes with all of these terms.
The construct of toxic masculinity, that's a learned behavior. We teach that. Society teaches that. And I can see it pretty well, having been in one of the most hyper-masculine environments in the country, in the Marine Corps.
And when you mix that hyper-masculinity that Tess and Rob are describing with easy access to weapons in civilian life, the result can be explosive.
This playground commercial is very triggering, is that the right word?
Have you been deployed to the playground again? Leading a mission with nothing but weak gear.
People that want to wear this type of gear, the stuff that now I'm getting VA disability for, trying to climb up the mountains of Afghanistan, having to wear that crap. If you know the sacrifice of some of the people, the men and the women overseas, that had to wear that gear and why they were protecting themselves, we're celebrating this level of violence and we don't know why, and we have young men, and this is primarily a male situation, 99, 100%. These are the questions that we have to start asking.
It's not masculinity itself that's toxic.
This is Jessica, the real-life Tiffany.
Toxic masculinity is a version of masculinity that has certain characteristics of aggression, of dominance, of seeking out quote-unquote weak or soft targets and pouncing and showing this bravado. That is what's toxic. It's not masculinity itself that's toxic. I have a son, and I very much want him to have an inner security. I don't want him to feel insecure. He should be able to breathe and move through those uncomfortable emotions and know that he is not the only one that's feeling that way. That many other boys, teenage boys, young adult men, grandpas even, they're all having this anxiety about what is manhood and am I a real man? Given a tool like a gun, they'll either explode or implode.
Oh, come on, Jessica. Who in their right mind would put a loaded gun in the hands of a person who's feeling intensely insecure about their masculinity? Oh, right. As part of a marketing campaign by Bushmaster Firearms, if you bought one or more of their rifles, you could apply online for what they called a man card. The following words are lifted verbatim from a 2010 print ad for Bushmaster Firearms, given a dramatic reading by our very own Anthony Ray Perez.
In a world of rapidly depleting testosterone, the Bushmaster Man Card declares and confirms that you're a man's man. The last of a dying breed with all the rights and privileges duly afforded. You carry it in your wallet, ready to show at a moment's notice, instantly ending discussion for any who would doubt you.
You may remember that ad was used as evidence in a lawsuit brought by 9 families of victims from the 2012 Sandy Hook school shooting. The families contended that Remington, the parent company of Bushmaster, marketed their semi-automatic high-powered assault-style rifles specifically to insecure young men and so-called couch commandos. In 2022, the families won a settlement from Remington's insurance company for $73 million, effectively bankrupting the gunmaker. A lot of people might excuse the ad, saying it was intentionally over the top, men laughing at their own machismo, all in good fun. And that's fair. But the fact is, a gun company only runs a marketing campaign for 2.5 years if that campaign sells guns. Clearly, this one did. Let's listen to the ad again, this time read by Tiffany's 6-year-old daughter, Rosa, as performed by Krista Gonzalez.
In a world of rapidly depleting testosterone, the Bushmaster Man Card declares and confirms that you're a man's man, the last of a dying breed with all the rights and privileges duly afforded. You carry it in your wallet, ready to show at a moment's notice, instantly ending discussion for any who would doubt you.
Joke or no joke, the ad is clearly dedicated to
Ending discussion.
Ending discussion.
ending discussion. That's the polar opposite of the intention behind this podcast. We want to encourage discussion, not end it. The conversation with Robert, Tess, and Jessica brings up a lot of questions. Are there connections between hypermasculine military cultures and gun violence here at home? How can we counter exaggerated depictions of male aggression that permeate our media? How do we balance our desire to protect our children with our need to protect each other? How do we balance our individual freedoms with our collective safety? Tiffany's story exposes a cultural shift. It is becoming normal to anticipate and be prepared for shootings in schools, movie theaters, and other public gathering places. What had been inconceivable, bulletproofing your children's backpacks, for instance, is quickly becoming mundane. Now, I'm not feeling nostalgic or pining for some idea of a simpler, safer time, but I do think it's worth taking note of the ways we're changing, individually and collectively, and to ask ourselves, is this okay? Is this the best we can do? Let's go to Tess Banco as she wraps up the post-performance conversation.
I know all of you in the audience are good people, and I know those in our communities consider themselves good people. Every day, on different levels, we fail each other. We fail each other by making assumptions. or leaving people out or looking at the out group, vehemently disagreeing. Of course, our opinions and our principles are important, but there's still humanity in people that don't agree with us too. So I think community in of itself and building community is key to healing.
Special thanks for this episode goes to Tess Benko, Robert Ham, Anthony Ray Perez, Krista Gonzalez, and oral historian Rufio Vasquez. Extra special thanks to Jessica Huerta for sharing her story. Thanks also to our friends at the Center for the Art of Performance at UCLA, who hosted the live recording of this episode's audio drama. This podcast was recorded, mixed, and mastered by Paul Horobin at Ready Mix Studios in Van Nuys, California, on the unceded land of the Tongva and Gabrielino peoples. The music is composed by Julio Montero and brought to life by string player Tom Moose, bassist Julian Gomez, and percussionist Isaac Rodriguez. Duncan Woodbury is our sound designer. Dan Fruit & Company is an ensemble working at the intersection of theater and social justice. Company members include actors Justin Alston, Sol Abanis, Natalie Comunis, Krista Gonzalez, Donna Simone Johnson, Anthony Ray Perez, Christopher Rivas, dramaturg Bobby Gordon, oral historian Tula B. Strong, administrator Annie Kahane, social media manager Lily Stockton, associate producer Arpit Gained, and publicist Lynn Tejada of Green Galactic. Dan Fruit is the lead writer and artistic director. If you like what you hear, please tell your friends. And please, please, please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. No matter what you think, we'd love to hear from you. DM us at Dan Fruit & Company, all one word. The stage adaptation of Arms Around America premieres at UCLA's Nimoy Theater on November 15th and 16th, 2024, and on tour around the country after that. We hope to come to a community near you. You've been listening to Arms Around America.